The Marvel Cinematic Universe is full of incredible characters, iconic moments, and some of the craziest things we have ever seen as comic book fans. In today's video, I'm going to count down my top 10 favorite moments from the MCU, and of course, include several honorable mentions because it's hard to narrow it down. What is up, MCU fans? Welcome back to my channel. Like I said, we're going to take a moment today in the midst of the quarantines and talk about how much we love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm going to give you guys my personal list of the 10 moments that stand out to me, the ones that I go back to, I revisit so often, I recall, I fall asleep, I dream about them. I want to be Captain America. And here's what I wanted to do today within this video, because it's too easy to insert any moment that I want, right? If that was the case, Avengers Endgame would take up most of the list. I didn't want to do that. So what I did is I limited myself to one moment per film on the list. So it's going to be tough to choose when we get up to our favorite movies, but that's the whole point of making it difficult on myself. I don't know why I had to do that, but I did. Now, you all don't have to do that. I need your lists down below, your favorite moments. Doesn't have to be in order. Just give me 5 to 10 moments that stand out to you. Austin, you forgot this. Please let me know. There are a lot of things. I'm sure I forgot plenty. And if you enjoy these types of videos, I want to do more, but the only way I'm going to do that is if you guys enjoy this video and you smash that thumbs up button letting me know you'd like to see more. So we're going to get into it, but before we get into the top 10, of course, we have honorable mentions. Now, I got to be honest with you. I had several honorable mentions, and we will talk other moments within the films that we put in the top 10, but the moments that almost made it for the films that won't make the list are as follows. Let's talk about the Mysterio reveal in Spider-Man Far From Home. I'll never forget watching that for the first time, feeling the energy in the theater and the shock of people that had realized, oh my goodness, he is the villain and has been this entire time, because as comic book fans, that was obvious. But general audience goers didn't know, and we didn't know how they were going to pull off the reveal. Now, obviously, I could throw in Mysterio's incredible virtual reality scenes with Spider-Man, but that reveal for me was just one of the best and most shocking moments in the theater. And sticking with Spider-Man, another moment I wanted to put on my list, just couldn't get there, is the Vulture reveal. So 2 Spider-Man reveals in the honorable mentions. I loved watching it for the first time when Peter walked up to the door, and it's no other than Michael Keaton. Of course, that is the life of Peter Parker. That's how his luck goes. And that conversation they have in the car when he realizes that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, it is classic. But let's move on to Guardians of the Galaxy. This was one of the hardest moments to leave off of my list, and the only reason I left it off is because, you know, maybe I have something for Guardians too, but We Are Groot was an iconic moment in the midst of that film. It broke our hearts because at the time, we thought we were going to be without Groot from there on out. Now, it's a different Groot. This iteration of Groot is dead, confirmed by James Gunn, but this moment when he says, "We are Groot," surrounding his teammates, allowing them to survive, heartbreaking. And the final honorable mention is when Vision is born in Age of Ultron, and he picks up Thor's hammer. I'm thinking of the meme where they're all looking at each other. What a great moment, man. This is when you really knew what Vision was supposed to be. Maybe didn't live up to in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you understand he is worthy of the hammer, and everybody at that moment knows we can trust this guy. Let's get into the top 10. Number 10, I had to put this on here because of what it means for the MCU in general and what it meant for the character of Iron Man. This is when Iron Man escaped the cave for the first time in his Mark I suit after he built it in a cave, in the words of Obadiah Stane. I love this scene. And watching this movie for the first time just blew me away because this is the Iron Man that I knew from the comic books. A slightly different interpretation, but it's the closest thing that we were ever going to see. Favreau captured this to perfection. And here's the thing. You believe that he did what he did. Even though you haven't had all of the time in the world prior to that to get to know Tony Stark and who he is, you already know and understand from this performance what you've seen so far in the movie that Robert Downey Jr. encapsulates this character. So when he does what he does and tricks them into bringing him things to build this suit for the first time, you believe it. It was awesome. It was action-packed. He's throwing guys into the cave, and of course, the death of Jensen was heartbreaking. It's kind of the birth of Iron Man. Number 9. Dormammu, I have come to bargain. Now, I'm not going to sit back and say that the villains in Doctor Strange are the standout of that movie. No, I'm more of a fan of the visuals and the interpretation of the character and the fact that he went from being a complete jerk to less of a jerk. But what he does in this battle, even now, I think it's overlooked. He literally spins, and we don't know how long or how many times he did this, bargaining for the lives of everyone on planet Earth, and he dies countless times. It isn't the longest battle we've ever seen, but it's one of the more important ones because that gave us context into who, not Stephen Strange was, but Doctor Strange was. It's a guy who's willing to do what it takes to save the lives of others, and it really was a major turn for his character. I love this moment at the end of that movie, even though maybe I could have seen Dormammu actually fight. That would have been cool. Number 8, I don't know if a lot of people are going to have this on their list, but for some reason, every time I watch Black Panther, and a lot of things stand out about that movie, but for me, it's the first time they get into Wakanda. It is the prime example of how music can make you feel a certain way about not just a character or a group of characters, but a location. Wakanda. It came to life. It was its own character. And a lot of that has to do with the visuals. I would say most of it. But within this scene, it's the music. It's the score. It is the Oscar-winning score for Black Panther that comes back around to us in Avengers Infinity War. And the first time we arrived in Wakanda, oh my goodness, I still get chills every time I watch it or think about it. It's the most brilliant use of score I have seen in the MCU. Just kidding, but it's up there. Next up, here's my Guardians moment, right? It took a lot for me not to put We Are Groot on this list, and not instead, because this is the sequel, but I wanted to put the Yondu death on this list. I'm not going to sit back and say Yondu is my favorite character from Guardians, but I believe he's the most underrated, and what he did, giving his life for who he considered to be his son at that point, and this movie proved that to us, proved that to me. I think it's the best storyline within this film. He even tells Peter at one point, he's like, listen, I'm your daddy. We buy his love, we buy his sacrifice for Peter, and we understand at every single point when we think Yondu is going to pull the trigger or do something to take Peter out of his life, he doesn't, because secretly deep down he has this care and affection for what he believes to be his son, and when he sacrifices himself for his son, whew, that's a moment, man. That's a moment. Next up, we're talking the first Avengers. We're talking one of the coolest things cinematically I have ever seen on the big screen. That is the one-take fight scene in New York in the first Avengers. It's the OG. It's almost classic at this point for MCU fans. But the first time seeing this on the big screen, when the music kicks in and we are following each character from Iron Man flying down to Captain America as he throws his spin kick, flying up to Hawkeye, Thor, and Hulk as they take out this giant foreign space worm, and then Hulk punches Thor. I mean, just what a sequence, man. I can't believe it's not higher on my list, but Joss Whedon brought a comic book to life. Well, within this entire movie, but this scene specifically was just a sight to behold. And I almost went with Hulk grabbing Loki and slinging him around like a rag doll. That came very close, but that one-take scene just does it for me. Next up, Winter Soldier. A lot of things to choose from here. I really wanted to go with the first fight between Winter Soldier and Captain America. What they do with the knife in particular, but just the way that is filmed, is almost iconic at this point. And every time I watch the movie, I find myself looking forward to it. But then upon reflection, I'm thinking, the elevator scene. When the elevator scene is about to happen, every time I've watched this movie, and I watch it often, this is the scene that gets me on the edge of my seat. This is the scene that I feel like I'm always waiting for. It's the one they teased at Comic-Con way back when, and people freaked out. And I believe it's the best showcase of the Russo brothers' take on Captain America, and that is turning him into a BA character, a BA superhero. He takes out an elevator full of soldiers, people, and he does it in the coolest way possible. I love the elevator scene, and I love the callback in Avengers Endgame. This is Thor embracing the fact that he is the god of thunder, the music kicking in that somehow suits the tone of this film perfectly. I mean, I should have imagined Led Zeppelin and Thor but I never pictured it until Taika Waititi took over, and he brought us this scene where he embraces the lightning. He comes down with the fire in his eyes, and everyone begins to fight, from Valkyrie to Loki to Hulk and then Thor. The moment when he brings down multiple strikes of lightning with his fist, and I'm just like, this is awesome. And that entire sequence had me standing on my feet. I kid you not. I was just so fired up. It's the best use of music, non-score. We're talking just soundtrack over Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think has the overall best soundtrack. But that song fit that moment perfectly, and it's Thor embracing the fact that he doesn't need the hammer. Odin tells him, "You're not the god of hammers. You're the god of thunder." And that is the moment when we saw the God of Thunder in action. This was tough. I almost went with Thor arriving to Earth for the first time. And you guys are probably thinking right now, how could you not choose that? Because my reaction and everyone else's reaction calls for me putting that on this list. But then I look at the fact that, one, I have to choose one moment from each movie, and two, the snap. I gotta put the snap. It's the shock of the snap. It's not knowing what was going to happen to our characters. And sure, we had speculation. As soon as Black Panther went, I'm like, they're not going to kill Black Panther. But that part of my brain wasn't even working at that point. It was just the fact that they were doing this, knowing we're 2 hours and 20 minutes in, and the movie's about to end. The ultimate cliffhanger, what? The villain wins? Okay, they're telling most of this movie through Thanos' perspective, and he wins. He gets the victory. And it proves that he is inevitable. Well, until the next film. But that's the moment for me that sticks out from this film. Once again, Thor coming to Earth with the Avengers music is fantastic. But I think there's a moment in Endgame that trumps that. Next up, at number 2. This was tough. This was really tough to put over some of these other ones. But the level of comic book nerdiness and happiness and just pure enthusiasm that I felt during the airport scene was unlike anything I had felt prior to that. That's right. Over the one take in Avengers, over the geek out moments in Winter Soldier, and I'm not saying this movie is better than some of the other films below it, but this scene, the airport battle, where they all rush each other at the same time. And sure, we can include the entire sequence, right, where they first meet each other and they have the battles here and there. Spider-Man gets his quips in, but I'm talking specifically when they're all in line, they rush, we get Henry Jackman's score, and it's all-out Civil War. It's exactly what I wanted to see from Civil War. Sure, it strays away from the comics, but I honestly prefer the Civil War storyline from the movie, and I was a fan of the Civil War storyline in the comics. I just thought it could have used some tweaking here and there. They went a completely different route, but to see these heroes matched up against each other, Cap versus Iron Man, Bucky versus Black Panther, and I almost went with the fight at the end. Because the fight between Winter Soldier, Captain America, and Iron Man, maybe it means a bit more. And then, of course, the moment when it's revealed that Winter Soldier killed Stark's parents, but really his mother, these moments, I mean, they all could have made it. And they would all probably make this top 10 if I made the list that way. But if I had to choose one, it's the airport battle. I mean, come on. All right, you want to know why I made this list one moment per movie? Because it wouldn't have been fair. All right, Avengers Endgame would have taken up the entire list, from the funeral scene when Iron Man dies, from the death of Black Widow, decapitating Thanos, from, and that's right, I didn't go with it, I Am Iron Man, to the one that killed me to not put it number 1. And the moment that I actually had above this when I made my list of best in-game moments way back when, but after watching the movie multiple times, I realized that I have Avengers Assemble, aka the Portals scene, slightly above Cap picking up Mjolnir. And that wasn't the case when I first watched the movie, because obviously, I'm a fan. It was just so cool, and I was freaking out. Like, I was losing my mind. And here's the thing, like, it wasn't unwarranted. They have been building up to this, maybe subtly at times, not so subtle in Age of Ultron, for so long. And I wanted it to happen, but I'm sitting back going, they're going to do fan service in Endgame. But are they going to go that far? You know? Are they going to do that? And they did. And Cap picked up the hammer, and he's swinging Mjolnir because he's worthy, and I'm just like, But even then, it's Avengers Assemble. It's that moment. Another moment that they've been building up to when they teased it in Age of Ultron when he says Avengers and it cuts to black. Now, sure, he could have screamed it a bit louder. He's like, Avengers Assemble. And everybody's like, yeah, what? But it was so epic. Come on, it's the music, it's Silvestri's score, one of the most underrated scores of last year, and I say that because no recognition, which was ridiculous, and then the combination of all of our heroes that we knew were still alive, but then again, it's like, when are they going to come back? It's Falcon saying, on your left, and they're all coming, and sure, they're hero posing, superhero landing in Deadpool, he makes fun of that, but I didn't care. It was just the best... I'm going to geek out right here in this seat, and it's going to get everywhere. It was amazing, man. And then when they're all rushing at Thanos' army, you have Giant Man running with Valkyrie on the horse, swinging the sword, and all of our heroes flying with the ships. You even got the Ravengers in there. I mean, when Doctor Strange had the time to go do all this? I mean, obviously, he's making portals. He's like, all right, I need y'all to come in here and superhero pose, and I need you to do that, and it's coming. If you think about it logically, maybe it doesn't, but I don't care. I don't care. I am a movie fan, but when it comes to the MCU, I am a comic book fan first and foremost. And I look for things that bring these heroes together in a way that just works on screen. And that worked. And it works so well, and it's everything we've been building up to throughout every movie, all 23 films. That was the moment. That was the moment that everything was leading to. You have Cap, Iron Man, Thor leading the charge, and it was a glory to behold. Thank you, Jesus. It was so cool, guys, but Austin, why'd you make this video? I don't know. I just felt like making it. If you enjoyed this, seriously, I appreciate you for watching. Get in that comment section. Let me know which is your favorite moment and why does Endgame take up most of your list, because it would have for me. And hit that thumbs up button if you want to see more MCU-related content. I would love to do more videos, but I need to know that you guys want to see that. So thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. I'm going to go rub my action figure. That sounded wrong. Okay.